Welcome to Running for Real, a global community with a shared love and curiosity for running. Together we reconnect with the reasons why we love to run and discover ways it helps us become better people. Whether it's the quiet moments of a morning run while the rest of the world still sleeps, or befriending the strangers next to you at the start line of a race, we are here to connect with others who see running as the common thread that weaves our lives together. Come join me, Tina Muir, as I talk with people from all walks of life, united by a love of running. Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 429 of the Running for Real podcast. It is our first episode of 2025, which is very exciting. I mean, how are we on 2025? It's hard for me to comprehend the fact that the pandemic is coming up on 5 years ago. And yeah, time just goes by, doesn't it? This podcast has been going since 2017 we launched. So we're also going to be coming up on, oh no, math isn't my strength, 8 years of podcast. And as I shared in the final episode of 2024 in that recap episode, we have a lot of exciting things we're looking forward to. I encourage you to go back and listen to that one if you have not already. And today you can probably hear, I do have a cold. And it's not ideal for recording a solo episode, but I wanted to start off the year with some easy, actionable first steps you can take to begin your environmental journey. Now, I know through being out in the community that most people want to do the right thing when they think about taking care of our planet. You are aware of the impact that we are having as humans. But especially this time of year, it feels overwhelming. I know myself, my kids are still home right now. I've got back home from being away for 3 weeks. And I just feel like I haven't even got close to catching myself back up and getting back into a routine. And so if someone came at me with, here are some things you need to be doing environmentally, just in that same tone as the New Year's resolutions voice is coming at us right now, for me, it is just counterintuitive because it is actually the opposite, because it's very intimidating and makes it feel like if you don't complete and accomplish and finish, or you don't get it done, that you're failing. And I wanted to make this episode to be things that are easy to do and things that don't require adding anything to your to-do list, but instead are ways to utilize what you already have, or by just doing something that is one simple choice that you can make that can help you feel like you are winning, even if everything else is not really coming together. So these solo episodes, I would like in 2025 to do a few more of these, especially when it comes to environmentally, to give you some ways to utilize and get on with your environment. No, that's not the right way of phrasing it. Not get on with your environmental journey, but to begin your environmental journey. That's the thing I hear over and over again is I wish people, someone, or in the case of these people talking to me, you, as in Tina, would give me the ways to go about it. How can I do this and make it simple? How can I, Tina, do the research for you so that you can just follow through? So with that said, I hope each of these little tips, these are short, these are easy, these are just things that shouldn't require any mental brain space. Before we get to that, I do want to take a moment to thank one of our partners for supporting me. Without the partners of this podcast, we wouldn't be able to continue doing it. So I want to take a moment to thank Lever and just to tell you a little bit about them. Hey runners! Have you seen top athletes like Eilish McColgan and Cara Goucher using the lever system lately? If not, let me fill you in on why this just might be the game changer you've been waiting for. The lever system is an innovative way to reduce your body weight while exercising on a treadmill, which means less impact on your joints. Imagine being able to push your limits without the fear of injury holding you back. Whether you're coming back from an injury, looking to increase your running volume, or wanting to add some serious speed work to your routine, Lever has got you covered. What's even better, the Lever system is incredibly portable. It sets up on your home treadmill or at your local gym in under 2 minutes. Yes, you heard that right. Less than 2 minutes and you are ready to go. And because we know you'll love it, we've got an exclusive deal for you. Use the discount code TINA, Tina, to get you 20% off your purchase. Trust me, your joints, Achilles, and sore muscles will thank you, and so will your future self. So check out Lever today and take your running to the next level. Also, give them a follow on Instagram at Lever, that's Lever, at Lever Movement, and learn more about how they are partnering with the endurance community. Happy running. All right, let's begin with tip number 1. Now, these tips I'm going to give you today are all from the Sustainable Runner Toolkit, or Becoming a Sustainable Human Toolkit that we have and will be releasing to you very soon, so stay tuned for that. But we wanted to give you things that I'm going to break these down in terms of environments that you will be in. Most of these are individual changes that you can make at home, although I do have one for when you're traveling, one for within your community, and one for with kids, just to give a few additional ones to round out. I consider most of these easy wins, things that shouldn't require too much work, and even the harder ones or the bigger impact ones aren't actually that much work on top. And I hope you will see that within this, I will also give you little pieces of advice to follow through with this. So let's go to number 1. Reuse plastic bags as many times as you can. Now, I want to put an asterisk here. I am not saying you should keep the same Ziploc bag for 12 years, washing it. You're going to eat all kinds of microplastics if you are using the same Ziploc bag for many times. However, one of my favorite things to tell people is, for example, you get your bread in a bag, or you get your tortillas in essentially a Ziploc bag, right? Rather than those bags going straight into the trash, what can you use that for? So maybe you use your bread bag as a storage bag for your green beans once you have washed them. Or maybe you put your sandwich in the tortilla bag rather than a Ziploc bag for work the next day. Maybe you put your cheese in one of those Ziploc bags to keep it fresh and stop it from molding, unless you have blue cheese, in which case you might want the molding. How about if you use that bread bag as, if you are like me and you like to occasionally buy parsley or cilantro and you have to put the plastic bag over the top to keep it fresh, keep it in the fridge in a cup of water, you can use that as your bag to go over the top. And I'm not saying you should be using these bags over and over again, but shoot to use each bag at least twice. And if you are still using plastic bags at your local grocery store and you do have the opportunity to switch to paper, do that. And I know people often say to me, yeah, but I put my cat litter in it. I put my trash in these bags. The trash, I would certainly encourage you to check out Repurpose. I've been talking about them. Their bags are compostable. That means that your bag will break down in the landfill and at least give less methane gas out, which is so much more harmful to our planet than carbon dioxide. And if the bag breaks down around it, then the items can decompose without creating this methane. So I would strongly encourage you to check out Repurpose. And with that, remember, I have a 20% off code, so you can get yourself a big discount. And no, they do not rip. In terms of a paper bag, or for animal waste, should we say, this is again where I would encourage you to do the compostable bags. But is there an alternative that you could use? Could you use those bags, the bread bags, the bagel bags, the tortilla bags that I mentioned, instead of buying another plastic bag? Just utilizing those plastic bags as many times as you can is one great place to start. Number 2, related to that, reuse paper at least once. So when you have something printed or your children's many pieces of artwork, or at least I get many pieces of artwork that come home, your receipts, your envelopes, Those are all great places to make quick lists. So you might want to put your grocery list on the back of your receipt. Maybe you put your meal planning ideas on the back of an envelope. Get used to using paper at least once, and especially with kids, have them. What we like to do is take their artwork that they've, drawn, their work they've done at school, and then put it upside down or up or the right way around, I guess, depending on how you look at it, but put it so that the undrawn on side is facing up and they see it as a plain piece of paper. Yes, it has something on the back, but that really doesn't matter. So get used to reusing that paper. Get your kids in the mindset of reusing paper so that you are not constantly reaching for fresh slices of paper, and your children learn to reuse things and make the most out of things. Those are two easy places to get started. The third one I want to share is particularly important at this time of year when we are in that cold season, or for many of us, we're in that cold season, or maybe you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you are in the warm season. Either way, one of the biggest things you can do is, yes, if you have the ability to turn your heat down a little bit so it is not 75 degrees in your house in the winter, you should be able to wear a long sleeve and a sweatshirt to keep yourself warm. As I record this, I am sitting in my dressing gown, or as Americans call it, my robe, because we are an extreme. We keep our heat on 57. I know that's too low for most people. Upstairs, I should say. Downstairs, it's on 65. But the point here is not to tell you to turn your heat down to 57. But what you can do is when you are leaving the house, let's say you are going to work and you are not going to be home for 8 hours, turn your heat down. It does not need to be cranking all the time while you are not there. Yes, that does technically mean you might come into the house and it's a little bit cold. But if you keep your coat on for 15 minutes while it warms up, at least you are not heating and using likely fossil fuels endlessly without having any real impact or helping anyone. So turn your heat down a little bit in the winter, especially when you leave the house. Same with in the summer with that AC. If you can move your heat 1 degree while you are in there to what you usually have it, that can make an impact. So that's 3 easy places to start for you. I want to take a moment to thank another one of our partners, and that is AG1. Even if you just missed the new year, there is no right time to take care of your health. When I realized I was developing this cold, honestly, I was amazed I made it through a week at Disney World without getting sick, with the amount of germs and things that kids touch constantly. But I did end up with a cold. As soon as I knew that something was developing, I could feel it. I started doubling up on my AG1. I take it twice a day now. I know that it helps my body to get back to health and to feeling good again. And so, yes, it is the new year. Yes, it is that time when we are pushed about our health. This is an ideal time to take care of you and know that for me, this is the number one thing I trust. AG1 helps me to stay consistent. It makes me feel good immediately after drinking it. As I've said many times before, it is the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is go downstairs, get that AG1. And right now I've been coming upstairs to do some writing in the mornings, but I drink it first. My kids love the taste of it. If a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old enjoy the taste of it, that tells you something. They crave it, I crave it, and it is just wonderful for all round. So this is the year to try AG1 for yourself, the perfect time to start a new healthy habit. And that's why I've been working with AG1 for coming up to 6 years now. AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 value gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/Tina to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/Tina to start your new year on a healthier note. Speaking of starting ourselves on a healthier note, this year, in 2025, you may have seen on my social media or in the email newsletter if you receive it, that I am doing a 1-2-3 challenge. It is not like other challenges or resolutions that you will see this time of year. It is very low stakes. You can do it every day with me. You could do it 3 days with me. You could do it 1 time with me. But what I'm asking you to do is to hug 1 tree, is to pick up 2 pieces of trash, and to take 3 deep breaths. Now, for me, I am doing this every day in the month of January. And for you, maybe you decide you want to pick up 20 pieces of trash one day and hug 4 trees on your run, and that's all you do. This is a very low stakes way of doing things, but the purpose of this is, I suspect for many of us, January is going to be a tough month. I know it is for me. And so I wanted to have something that could connect me to nature through hugging a tree. And besides, you will smile like a little giddy child when you hug a tree. It's something magic about it. And 2, I wanted you to connect with your community. By picking up those pieces of trash, you are supporting your local area, the people that live around you. And number 3, those 3 deep breaths, they're for you. They're to reconnect you, to take in a nice, big, strong chunk of air that is going to help run through your body and make you feel good. But they're also good for centering us. So I would love if you would join me on social media, on Strava, by tagging me in your photos and tagging friends that you think would want to join it. But whether it is hugging a tree, whether it is putting your hands in the grass, find some way to connect to the earth. Maybe you even want to take your shoes off and stand in the grass, even if it's cold. Maybe it's putting your hands in the snow. Find some way to connect with nature this month. If you can do it every day, that is wonderful. You are only going to benefit from it, but it also is okay if you can't make it every day. Next, food waste is a massive contributor to climate change, to global emissions. I'm not telling you to compost today, although I would love if you would. I'm not telling you that you have to cut down on your food waste, but what I am going to encourage you to do is designate an eat now shelf in your fridge. So for me, I have our top shelf. I'm pretty particular about our fridge, actually. So Steve sometimes likes to put leftovers on the top shelf, and it drives me crazy because for me, the top shelf is for the beverages, for the yogurt. And I think that's it. So like milk, water, yogurt, any like canned drinks we might have, that goes there. However, when we have any items that need to be used up, I put them there so that when I open the door, that's the first thing I see, and then you use them up. So maybe for you, that is that half finished jar of sun-dried tomatoes. Maybe it's the tomato paste or some black beans. If you put it in on the top shelf, you see it and it reminds you, oh yeah, maybe I could make enchiladas. And so I'm going to add that to our meal plan for this week. Or, oh, I should get this other ingredient so that I can use up these artichokes maybe I should get some spinach so that I can make an artichoke and spinach dip. By having an eat now shelf in your fridge, it just means those extra items that we buy and then forget about when they come across them when they're moldy. Less of that happens because you see it and you're reminded that it is there. I've really felt that to be a helpful way for reducing our food waste and using those items that are really expensive that we used for one recipe and then kind of forgot that we had them. So that's another tip I would love to share with you. On the note of food, can you increase your meatless days by 1? So maybe you have 1 vegetarian meal in the week. Can you make it 2? Or if you have 4, can you make it 5? Now, I'm not saying that it has to be a whole day if that feels too much for you, but can you do it for dinner? I'm not asking for vegan or even vegetarian. I'm just asking you, can you do 1 day? Can you do 1 day more than you are already doing? Now, I get that you might think, oh, hold up. You said to me that this was not going to add any more to my to-do list, and this is definitely adding more to my to-do list. Well, what I want to share with you is a few of my favorite recipes and cookbooks that I love that you can go make sure you can either look up. I will be putting 3 or 4 links in the show notes to some of my favorite recipes, including this chickpea coconut curry, which is so easy, so quick, and a wonderful way to have a meatless meal. I will be putting links to some cookbooks in the show notes those cookbooks have amazing meatless recipes. Some of my favorites are Simply Julia by Julia Turshen. That book, by the way, is not a vegetarian book, but she has 11 vegan dinners in there, and they are all so good. There's an amazing vegan chili. There's this garlic and mushroom pasta thing that is really good. There's a chickpea, zucchini, and roasted peppers recipe that is really good. All of her recipes are fantastic. So if you can get Simply Julia or find it at the library, Also, I really love Oh She Glows. She has a massive blog, so there's plenty of recipes on there that can kind of take your fancy. You can use up some of those eat now items. And on the note of Julia Tertian, who, by the way, has been a podcast guest, I will put a link in the show notes to listen to that episode with Julia. Julia actually just brought out a new cookbook, which I love. I bought both of these cookbooks, I want to add. Julia's newest cookbook is called What Goes With What. So if you are someone who struggles with, I have these sun-dried tomatoes, I don't know what to do, she has a fantastic cookbook called What Goes With What. So if you can increase your meatless days by one, or at least one meal, that is another huge way that you can do your part and take that step to support the environment without adding too much to your stress. Okay. Next, my friends, before I go on to the next ones, I want to take a moment to thank Runner for sponsoring this podcast, for supporting me, and they can help you take your running to the next level. Runner has, every time I look at how many reviews, they've got positive reviews, 4.9 reviews on Apple, and they were one of the top 3 finalists for the Apple Store App of the Year in 2024. So if that doesn't tell you that this app is helping people and working incredibly well for our community, I don't know what does. So you can get the support you need as a runner with tailored running plans to achieve your goals, from running a faster 5K to completing your first marathon. It does not matter if you are an absolute beginner or a seasoned runner. You can have 2 weeks free coaching as one of my friends. And you can use code running for real. That's running for real with the word for running for real at Runner. So if you look up the app, RUNNA, that's RUNNA, you can find Runner, the app. They will have not only your training plan that will be completely customized to you and adapt as you go, but it also has strength training on there. You can have Pilates on there. It has everything in one place, as well as a community to be a part of. It really is a fantastic app. It is arranged very well, organized so that you can understand it, and intuitive. Definitely encourage you to go check that out. Go to runner.com, RUNNA.com, or you can find it in the App Store. And remember to use code running for real to get yourself 2 weeks of free coaching. Okay, friends, continuing on, we have 3 left. This one is going to seem like a bit of a cop-out, but it really is important, and that is to treat yourself with compassion. You are not going to be able to be the perfect environmentalist. No one is asking you to be. It is actually not even possible, but the more kind you can be to yourself about your choices, the more you allow that feeling of, I'm not perfect at this, I'm not even great or good at this, but I'm trying, the more you will be able to be free in making these changes, in speaking up. The more pressure you put on yourself to do it right, the more you are going to have a hard time. And I get this on a deep level. As I said earlier in this episode, I was just in Disney World. Talk about consumption, Disney World. And I knew going into it that I had to find a way to give myself compassion for what I was about to do. It doesn't matter how much you want to be an environmentalist when you're going into Disney World, you are surrounded by consumption. And so I feel very proud of myself for being able to give myself the compassion to make the choices when I had the option to, of using my reusables, not purchasing things, which I didn't, and I feel proud of that. But I also had to let myself do it. If it meant using a Dixie plate that was not compostable, then that was what I was given. So the more you can give yourself compassion, the more you're going to be able to do more of these initiatives that I suggest over time, and the better you're going to feel about yourself. Next up, turn your car off. Now, I'm not saying never have the car going, don't go anywhere. I'm not telling you not to use your car. But idling is literally pouring out harmful gases into the environment for no reason. I understand we are in the winter and sometimes it is going to be very cold. We are going to need our car on. But at least turn off the heat, turn off the car for small chunks of it. Maybe you do have it on for, you have to be somewhere for half an hour, you're waiting outside while your child is doing something. Can you turn it off for chunks of time? The more you leave your car idling, you are just pouring out these chemicals and harmful pollutants into the air that you are breathing, that your community is breathing, that your family is breathing. The more you can turn your car off and yes, maybe be a little bit cold, maybe keep the coat on a little bit longer. That really is something kind you can do without. You can turn your car off and it'll be 5 to 10 minutes before it gets cold. That's 5 to 10 minutes less of idling your car. Simple one, but worth mentioning because I see it all the time. For traveling, if you are traveling anytime soon for work, I encourage you to, on your search engine when you are looking for somewhere to eat, to search vegetarian, organic, or locally sourced when you are coming to find your next restaurant. Even if you are not going to eat vegetarian, restaurants that consider vegetarians or use locally sourced ingredients often consider their packaging and make it compostable, or they think about their impact on the planet. So I encourage you, if you are traveling, to think about using those words when you come up for a search. Even if you are going to be eating meat, you plan on eating meat. And I will say for me, traveling when I'm going out to eat in a new place is often the time I do allow myself to have meat if I am somewhere where I know it has been prepared thoughtfully and they've prepared it in a way that I would not do at home. I don't generally cook meat at home anymore at all. And so I'm not saying don't do it, but it's just going to help you, especially the word locally sourced, that is going to help you to find the kind of restaurants that are environmentally conscious. Maybe not every time, but it might help you find the coffee shop in the morning and it might help you find a good place for lunch. Two more we've got here. Share clothes. Now, if you have people within your community, neighbors who are the same size as you, next time you need an outfit for a specific event or a themed party, ask your neighbors if you can share, if they have anything in mind. I am very fortunate in that my neighbors are amazing and we share things all the time. We have a constant group thread that is, does anyone have paprika? Does anyone have tortilla chips? And it is a wonderful place to be. However, I recognize that's not always going to be the case. Not everyone has that. I did not have that in previous places I lived, but there are buy nothing groups. There are clothing swaps in your area that you can switch out your clothes for free. These buy nothing groups that are on Facebook, all you need to do is search buy nothing group and put your city or your neighborhood name. And within there, you are going to have access to probably thousands of people who you can share things with. And I've had amazing luck with, a few years ago, Bailey said she wanted a Rapunzel dress for her birthday. And I typed in there, does anyone have an old Rapunzel dress? And I got one from someone in my community. And other times I have had something that I really liked that my kids have grown out of. And I've said, I put it on there and people have been so excited for the opportunity to have that thing. So if you are looking something, like I said, if you have something themed or something that you only will need once or twice, maybe it's like camping chairs, maybe it's a sleeping bag, ask within your community, particularly on those buy nothing groups. Those are a fantastic way to cut down on the things you are purchasing, but also to get to know your community and just to feel a part of something greater than yourself. It's a wonderful way to be a part of something. And finally, now this one, I kind of propose it as a kid one. It can be for you too, for vision boards. And that is to reuse cards, junk mail, magazines. And when I say cards, I mean like birthday cards or anniversary cards, any cards that you receive. You can cut out the images or the pictures, or just rip. If in the case of cards, what I tend to do is just rip the front page off and have a collection. Same with magazines, same with junk mail, for your kids to use to cut and stick their own picture together, or maybe make their own cards. That's something my aunt used to do with me when I was a kid, and I really have such positive and loving memories of making birthday cards with my aunt who had saved all the little fronts of birthday cards so we could make our own cards for people. It's a really lovely thing to do. But also you could, as I said, use them for your own vision board. Maybe you have something you want to create. It is lovely to get more use out of those. You will probably see the image that was on the card and smile, knowing who it was from, or maybe you'll reread the note that person left you if you still have it attached, and it'll make you feel positively about them. But again, looking at our items, looking at the things that we have in our day, and rather than throwing them immediately, how can we reuse them? Kids will love seeing these images of their favorite characters, especially on their birthday cards that they can reuse. They're not going to reread a card that says like, to Bailey, happy birthday, love mum. They're going to be able to get some joy in a different way. So I think that's a great way to reuse, but also do it in something that is a whole new adventure. Okay, friends. So that is giving you a list of places you can start, a list of small things that you can do without hopefully adding a ton to your to-do list. Each of those should be very actionable and enjoyable. Friends, you can go to the show notes. There will be a lot of links there at runningforreal.com/episode 429. You can also find links to our partners in there. Thank you to AG1, to Lever, and to Runner. Friends, there are so many links in the show notes. Go get those meatless recipes. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate your effort to begin your year doing this. Come join me for the 1-2-3 challenge. I look forward to seeing your pictures of you hugging a tree. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Before we go any further, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Running for Real team. Without them, I would not be able to do barely anything compared to what I'm able to do today. They are behind the scenes. They are there for me. I am just so appreciative of them. To Jeremy Nessel, our podcast editor, audio consultant, and someone who's been with me since the start. To Sally Pontarelli, our content and operations manager, who is there day to day doing all the things to help me be successful. To Kelsey Wang, our head of design, and Louise Murphy, our associate designer. And finally, to Sandy Gutierrez, our photographer and content strategist. I am appreciative of all of you and wouldn't be able to do what I do without you.